Okay, let's dive right in. Today, we're going to unpack the really powerful lessons from a 3-night personal journey shared by a woman named Angela. It's a pretty profound look at what it takes to grow, to change, and to relearn the things we thought we already knew. And this quote from Angela, it really sets the stage for everything we're about to talk about. The core idea here is that learning isn't some destination you just arrive at. It's a cycle, it's continuous. As we grow and change, the lessons we thought we had figured out suddenly look totally different, and we have to process them all over again. So the journey kicks off with the biggest, most fundamental question there is, right? The very first night was all about this deep introspective work, forcing a hard look at our own core identity. But before you can even begin to ask, who am I? You have to ground yourself. And Angela uses this incredible metaphor for it. When we're completely overwhelmed with emotion, it can feel like we're literally underwater. And what's our first instinct? To hold our breath. So the lesson here is to consciously breathe through it, just remembering that every single breath is a small act of healing and letting go. Now this is a radical idea. I think a lot of us feel like, well, this is just who I am. But Angela argues that actually, we often choose a personality way back when to achieve certain things, and then we just kind of leave it on cruise control. But real growth, that means you have to be willing to change it. And this is the huge question she posed. It's not an attack, it's a genuine inquiry. Just look at who you are today, right now, with everything you've been through. Does this version of you still serve you? Does it actually line up with the kind of impact you want to have on the world and on the people you love? And look, this isn't just some philosophical question. It comes with a super practical framework. First, you evaluate yourself. Then, and this is a big one, you ask people you trust for their honest feedback to see if you're really projecting what you think you are. From there, you actually write down who you want to be for the next, say, 5 or 10 years. And finally, you build the habits to become that person. It's a conscious, intentional act of self-creation. Okay, let's move on to the second night and see how this all builds. Because after you ask, who am I, the next step is often letting go of who you were. And this lesson, it's all about that really difficult but totally necessary process of surrender. This quote really captures just how intense real change can be. Angela observed that deep transformation can feel, well, dramatic. Old patterns, old traumas, old parts of your identity literally have to fall away. They have to die to make space for something new, a new awareness, a new life, a new you. But here's the thing. You can't do that kind of profound work just anywhere. This is where the idea of the container becomes absolutely critical. It's a safe, supportive environment where you can be completely vulnerable without worrying about how you look or what people think, because you know you are held and that there are people there to catch you. And at its heart, that's what this lesson is really all about. For so many of us, letting go of control is terrifying. Angela really relates to this, talking about having a childhood where you learn not to be a burden or where you just don't feel safe enough to fully release. But the beauty is in finding a space where you can finally surrender and feel that incredible gratitude of someone being there to hold you. Which brings us to the third and final night. After all that deep work of self-inquiry and surrender, this lesson is about integration. It's about joy and really the ultimate takeaway from the entire experience. I just love this quote because it captures the spirit of the third lesson so perfectly. After all that intensity, there's this release into play, into pure silliness. Angela calls it aging backwards spiritually. And this act of joyful, completely unself-conscious play is so, so healing, especially for anyone who didn't feel safe enough to be silly as a kid. And this whole experience revealed this profound contrast in how we can approach life's challenges. You see, most of us default to problem-solving mode. When something's wrong, we're driven by anxiety to fix it right away. But that energy, it can actually make things worse. The alternative is presence mode, which is driven by love, where the instinct isn't to fix, but just to hold space, to listen, and to create connection. So ultimately, after all the work, the purging, the processing, the answer is almost deceptively simple. Like Angela says, it's something you might already know in your head, but the real challenge is to actually practice it when life gets hard, to choose love over anxiety, to choose presence over panic. And this really gets to the heart of what that love means. It's not about achieving some perfect, problem-free state of being. The beauty is in the messiness. It's in coming together to cry and sweat and still having the energy to sing and laugh. True connection happens in that shared, imperfect vulnerability. This metaphor is just such a perfect summary of the whole 3-night journey. It wasn't a solo mission. It was a shared experience, a collective voyage where everyone navigated the waters together and made sure they all made it back, transformed but safe. So we end by circling all the way back to where we started. Angela's journey shows that growth isn't just about learning new things, it's about having the courage to first ask who you are today, then being willing to let the old version of you die to make way for the new, and finally, learning to approach it all from a place of love. So the question for you is this: what's a lesson you thought you'd already mastered that life is now asking you to see in a completely new way?